free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster.
Hail to the culture, Bryce and Rome. We back at you guys once again, and we've got a ton to discuss. Rome, what up, my brother?
What's up, man? What's up?
Hey, man, nothing much, bro. All I know is, man, last time I spoke to you on this platform, we were feeling a lot better than we feeling now, man. State of the culture is definitely in the dumps right now. How you feel overall about where our Redskins stand at the moment?
Man, I think a couple weeks ago, man, you mentioned the Redskins could be going on a downward spiral, and sure enough, that is where we find ourselves, man. These last couple weeks have been horrible on the field and off the field. We got a lot to get into.
Yeah, man. A ton to discuss. So let's jump right into it. The embarrassing loss against the Giants. I was at the game, and I had great seats. I actually was in the suites. No one leaves the suites. Let me repeat. No one leaves the suites. If you have a ticket in the suites, you stick it out no matter what happens. You know why? Because it's warm. Because there's free food. Because there's great people surrounding you. Nah, not your boy. 34-0. I was out like a light. I dipped out. I couldn't stay. I couldn't bear to watch. I got to the car only to hear the Jamison Crowder touchdown. I said, of course I would leave and they would score. Just my luck. Bro, man, what were your first thoughts from that game? Break it down.
Oh, man, that was probably the most painful game I've watched the Redskins play in the last 4 years. For the first time in my son's 4-year life, he booed the Redskins, man. It hurt me to my soul, man. But they deserved it. They deserved it because that was a piss-poor effort, piss-poor performance. The coaches, the players, come on, man, that was garbage. I can't even believe I watched the entire game. They really put the term diehard fan to the test. But I watched all 60 minutes of that painful football game, and my only positive takeaway is Josh Johnson. But that's not even a completely positive takeaway because watching him play, I don't know why he wasn't starting over Mark Sanchez to begin with, man. So let's just jump into this. I want to jump into this Mark Sanchez thing now because I can't even stand it. The fact that we even signed Mark Sanchez, like, I tried to give them a small pass, because they know stuff that we don't know. It's their job. They're in there every day. If they know Mark Sanchez might know the terminology, some of the play calls, I'll give them that. He might know that better than some of the other free agent quarterbacks just from working with you guys. The issue that I have is once Mark Sanchez steps out onto the field and I see him fail to throw the ball over a lineman to a wide-open Jamison Crowder who's probably 5-10 yards away, and you can't even throw the ball over top of the lineman just swats the ball down, you're trash. You're trash. You can't play in the NFL. Like, I'm sorry. He had a great press conference leading up to the Giants game. Mark Sanchez seems like a great person. I'll probably get a beer with the guy. He seems like an awesome dude, to be honest with you. But the dude can't play football. He can't play quarterback in the National Football League. And I'm pretty sure there's someone on their couch right now or out here in these streets trying to help young brothers and sisters who probably could throw the ball a lot better than Mark Sanchez, but didn't get the opportunity.
Yeah, man. I can do nothing but agree completely with everything you just said. You mentioned earlier how I said if the Redskins lost to the Cowboys, it could start a downward spiral. I only said that because the moment I saw that we signed Mark Sanchez was the moment I knew Mark Sanchez would strap it up this season and play it down for the Redskins. I just knew it was inevitable. The guy, some way, he weasels himself back into the NFL each and every time. One of the only quarterbacks in the league to have played for every NFC East team. That's just ridiculous. This guy's played for every team in the NFC East. This guy weasels his way into the NFL because you know why? Guys at the top, like Kavanaugh and like Gruden, they like him. They like his personality. It's infectious. And you hinted at that. Great press conference. Great guy. Great smile. Get him the hell off my football team. Should have never been there. How can my question is, right? And like you said, Rome, they quote-unquote know more than us about football. I mean, they should. They get paid. They get paid to do it. My question is, how can you watch Mark Sanchez prepare for a week and Josh Johnson prepare for a week and decide that Mark Sanchez gives you the best chance to win? Hold on. I'm not going to stop there. It's 34-0, and Mark Sanchez is still the quarterback of the Redskins. Wait. Why did it take that long to even put Josh Johnson in the game? It really, really makes no sense. Josh Johnson definitely gave the team the spark they needed when he got in the game, and that was basically just running, just bringing something different to the table. And I don't know, man, like when I look at this coaching staff, what they've done to this point, the mediocrity that's been shown, we've been nothing more, nothing better than the 500 ball club, and we don't seem to be wanting to turn that corner. The most disappointing part of it all to me is that the guys, in my opinion, especially on defense, where we don't have any injuries, where we're not missing key pieces, those guys quit, Rome. Those guys quit, man. Those guys looked at the other team across from them and said, we don't give a damn anymore. And guys like Saquon Barkley and Shepard still gave a damn, and they went out there and showed it while the Redskins sat back and got their asses handed to them. And honestly, man, you can hear it in my voice. Not only am I sick, but I'm pissed. I'm pissed off. I'm done with Gruden. I'm done with Allen, and I've been done damn near my entire life with Snyder. So something's got to change, Rome. I don't know where we should start, but something has got to change.
Well, I think it's going to have to start with Gruden. If you guys have been following the Hell to the Culture podcast, I've kind of been tiptoeing around Jay Gruden's job security all season. Even when Alex Smith was playing and we were looking great as a team, the offense was struggling. I got a couple numbers here for you guys. So this year, the Redskins' offense is ranked 27th. Now, I don't think we've ever been above 20th this entire season. That's with Alex Smith. Last year, we were ranked 16th. The year before that, when Sean McVay was the offensive coordinator, we were ranked 3rd. So since losing Sean McVay, Jay Gruden's offense has been on the bottom half of the league. What exactly does Jay Gruden bring to the table that says he should be our head coach? What did we see with the Giants game? I know we got a depleted team right now. We got a bunch of injuries, right, on the offensive side of the ball. A good offensive coordinator can scheme plays open, can scheme players open, can scheme up some good plays. Jay Gruden's offense leads to nothing but 3 and outs. That's why the defense gave up. That's why the defense quit. The defense looks at Mark Sanchez as their quarterback and knows that, okay, we just got a turnover. What's he going to do? 3 and out? Okay, well, they gave up then because Mark Sanchez is the quarterback. That all ties back into Jay Gruden as the head coach. You can't put Mark Sanchez out there and expect your team to believe that they're going to get something done. You can't expect the defense to believe that if they get enough turnovers that Mark Sanchez will score because he didn't. So, in my opinion, it's got to start with Jay Gruden. I keep hearing rumors about Bruce Allen going to Oakland maybe. Possibly they just fired their GM. So maybe we'll catch a break and we can ship our problem of Bruce Allen across the country to Oakland. That would be great. But I think it's got to start with Gruden.
Yeah, man, and let me just sound off on Gruden for a second because, you know, I went against my better judgment, Rome. I knew the moment when Gruden should have been gone. I knew the moment. You know what the moment was for me? It was a couple years back. We still had Deshaun Jackson. And during a summer practice, Deshaun Jackson walked past his head coach, Jay Gruden, and proceeded to give him a titty twister. That was the moment I knew. I said, not even the players take this guy seriously. Could you think about it for a second, Rome? Gronkowski loves to joke around. Could you ever imagine Gronkowski giving Bill Belichick a titty twister?
Never.
It's not happening. It's not happening, man. And that's because the players look at Jay Gruden as a joke. He tries to be such a friendly guy. He tries to be on the same level as his players. But at the end of the day, there's got to be a system of hierarchy. There's got to be a guy telling you what to do, not asking you. And Jay Gruden asks a lot of his players, but he doesn't tell them anything because they don't respond to what he tells them. You know what I mean? When you got guys coming in here, for example, when Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne talked before this season, and they were talking about how easy the Redskins' practices are compared to Alabama, that told me something. When DJ Swearinger comes from 3 other organizations, one that has had some success in Houston and another that has some success in Arizona, when he gets here and says, man, these practices are easy. Man, these guys don't take practice seriously. Man, these guys go through the walkthroughs like they're jokes. That is about the coaching staff. You know what I mean? You can only point to the players for so many things. Because at the end of the day, they're supposed to go on the field and play. They're not supposed to be leading the practice. That's the job of the coach. The coach is there to get you motivated. It's your job to play. Anyone that's not motivated is not going to play well. You don't do anything well when you're not motivated. I don't care what your job is. If you're not motivated to do it, you're not going to do well. And Jay Gruden is a piss-poor motivator. Now, let me hop to the second guy that you mentioned, and that's Bruce Allen. As bad as Jay Gruden is, Bruce Allen may very well be worse. And this is because Bruce Allen gives no damn about winning. Bruce Allen is a bottom-line guy. Bruce Allen is a butts-in-the-seats guy. And now Dan Snyder's looking around, and the one thing that Bruce Allen had been decent at, which was putting butts in the seats, he can no longer do that. If you look at our stadium during the Giants game, even before people started to really file in, it was half empty. Nobody was showing up. Nobody's showing up to our games anymore. Bruce, the one thing you were good at, the business side, is officially done. You're not a real football guy, still living off the merit of your father. I'm tired of it, man. Get some fresh faces in here, some fresh ideas. We had one, Sean McVay, and we let him walk out the door. I can't stand for it anymore. We need some fresh faces, fresh ideas. It's time to change, man. It's time for big, big change.
Yeah, man, I could not agree more, man. It's crazy because it's like we're never going to be able to really get a chance to talk about the on-the-field stuff because there's so much off-the-field mishandlings that this team has had. I touched on it a little bit about Sanchez and how there's another free agent quarterback out there who, in my opinion, deserves a shot. And I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit because earlier in the week when asked about Colin Kaepernick, Jay Gruden said he didn't want you to have to change the offensive plays or have to change the offense for someone new to learn it. Well, Josh Johnson hasn't played in the NFL in 7 years, I believe. And the plays that Josh Johnson was running, to me, looked an awful lot like the plays Colin Kaepernick took the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl with. Now, I'm no professional football coach or aficionado, but I know a little bit about X's and O's. And I know the read option when I see it. And I know what Colin Kaepernick ran in San Francisco. And I know what Jay Gruden's offense ran when we had RG3 in 2014. So those plays are in his playbook. So miss me with we had internal discussions and decided not to go that route, all that nonsense. Give Colin Kaepernick a call because Mark Sanchez can't even throw the damn ball over a lineman's head. And you got a guy in Josh Johnson who hasn't played in 7 years. So either call me to play quarterback because I could probably be better than Sanchez, or call Kaepernick because it looks ridiculous. And I'm putting that on all three, Snyder, Allen, and Gruden. Like you guys, they gotta do better than what they've done as far as handling that because that looks terrible. Give Kaepernick a call and let him turn you down, so that way you look like you're at least trying to put the best product on the field. Because going back to butts in the seats, nobody's gonna come watch Mark Sanchez. Nobody's gonna come watch Josh Johnson. No one knows who he is.
Yeah, and you would think that Bruce Allen would have been smart enough to make that move. I mean, he was smart. He was dumb enough to pick up a guy like Reuben Foster, who that's clearly going to get you media backlash, but you're afraid to make the move for Colin Kaepernick? I don't get it.
Yeah, it makes no sense, man. It makes no sense because the Reuben Foster thing, we touched on it already, but you obviously get the immediate backlash because you claim him 2 days after you got arrested. Now, guilty or not guilty, claiming someone 2 days after they got arrested is a bad look. It's a horrible look. So it makes no sense on why they don't even want to call Kaepernick.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I mean, I guess, I don't even know what to say. I'm at a loss for words, and I'm never at a loss for words when it comes to my Skins. But right now, I just look at our prospects of going forward. It's like only thing I can think of is blow it up. So, like you said, man, let's get away from the off the field stuff for just a second. And let's talk about the actual in-game performance. It was tough. It was tough because Mark Sanchez played pretty bad. But early, there were some moments for guys to bail him out, and that didn't happen. The first play that comes to mind is the Jamison Crowder drop pass on, I think, was the second drive of the game. So guys weren't picking the Mark Sanchez up per se, but at the same time, the play calling, it didn't really lend itself to winning. When you got a third-string quarterback, you would expect your running back, AP, to have more than, 10 carries on the game? I just don't get it. Like, what was the plan? Why is AP only getting 10 carries? It really makes no sense. I expected AP to have somewhere around 25, 30 carries in that game. It only would make sense for him to have that many. But it seemed like Gruden almost got pass happy with Mark Sanchez. Did you get that same type of feeling?
Oh, bro, did I ever, bro? And this has been my knock on Gruden the entire time that he's been here is he's always pass happy. I'm looking at the drive charts right now. The second drive for the Redskins, after the Giants got a 3-and-out, they threw 3 straight passes. 3 straight passes. You just said it yourself. We got Mark Sanchez and Adrian Peterson. Why are you going to throw the ball 3 straight times? All 3 incomplete passes, 3-and-out, defense is back on the field. Like, Gruden's got to go, man. This whole Sanchez thing is the straw that's breaking the camel's back. Like I said earlier, I tiptoed around it all season, but the fact that he was comfortable with Sanchez and the play calls that he called with Sanchez, I'm completely done with Jay Gruden.
Yeah, man. That was some of the worst stuff I've ever seen as a Redskins fan. I mean, you're talking about a Giants team that was, coming in, they're one of the worst teams statistically in tons of different aspects in the league. And you're talking about 34-0 at half? I mean, that's unbelievable. They beat us, to be honest. They gave us a worse whooping than the Saints gave us. That should tell you a lot about that should tell you a lot about the team. That should tell you a lot about the leadership of the team. And it always got to start from the top, and that's Jay Gruden. Then it's Bruce Allen, and Dan Snyder got to be included too. I know we said we're going to get on the field, but, man, once you even start talking about the on-the-field issues, it brings you right back to the leadership, to the ownership, to the decision-making. And it's just crazy, man. So let's transition just a little bit, man. Let's say we do get our way. Let's say Jay Gruden is gone. Let's say, Bruce Allen is fired. What direction do you want to see the team going? I mean, think about it, Rome. We're on the hook for 2 more years of Alex Smith with big money on the table. We've got a couple guys locked in the contracts, for the foreseeable future. I mean, not too long, but we still got guys like Kerrigan, Moses, Trent. Would you want a complete overhaul, rebuild? What type of coach would you want to come in? Would you want him to work with what we've got? Rome, where would you want us? What direction would you want us to go in from here?
Well, it's tough to say because if we do get rid of Bruce Allen, I wouldn't be opposed for just a flat-out swap if Reggie McKenzie came from Oakland to Washington. I really like that team he had in Oakland before John Gruden, another Gruden, came and dismantled that. But I wouldn't be mad if he came because I like the team that he built. And as far as a coach, the first coach that comes to my mind is Bruce Arians. I liked what he did when he was in Arizona, and I think he'd be an excellent coach to bring down here to Washington if he was interested. I think the issue that we're gonna run into is it a desirable job? How many people want to come try to save or fix this organization? This organization has really been in shambles for most of my life. I mean, they've had their bright moments. We brought Gibbs back and had some bright moments. Jay Gruden's had some bright moments. But it's just been moments. Nothing's been sustained for really more than half of a season. So which coach is going to want to come and be the guy to turn it around? That's why it hurt losing McVay so much because I really saw that in him, that he could have been the true like savior of the franchise. So like finally we got a head coach who's not named Gibbs that will actually take us somewhere. But I think it's just going to come down to who actually wants the job, man, because there's some other head coaching jobs out there that are probably a little bit more desirable than this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure, man. And if you just look at the history of being a coach for the Redskins, and this is McVay excluded. I mean, McVay, he was a prodigy, man. We knew inside looking out, I guess I should say, that we knew we had something special in McVay. And the rest of the NFL knew it as well. But going with the rest of the coaches that have come in and out of the Redskins organization, you just can't name too many coaches that left here in a better situation than they came, which to me just makes the job just one of the least desirable jobs in all of football. Because who can you say, oh, yeah, when that coach left the Redskins, they were looked at as a better coach? You know what I mean? Like, we almost ruined the legacy of a Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan was a surefire Hall of Famer before he arrived in Washington. Now people look at his legacy like it's tainted. And that's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? That's a Super Bowl winning coach. And the more and more we have this conversation, the more and more I start to look at ownership. One other name though I'll throw out there that'll be an interesting possible candidate. What do you think about John DeFilippo, man? He just got fired from the Vikings after their poor performance on Monday Night Football. Kirk Cousins now 0-7 on Monday Night Football, but the offensive coordinator is the one that takes the big hit. What do you think about John DeFilippo, and what do you think about that whole fallout with Cousins and how they just fired him? Because don't get me wrong, man, that is a team that's still in a decent position to make some noise. They still have their starting quarterback. They're not decimated by injuries. And they get rid of their offensive coordinator while the Redskins sit back and don't even make a move after looking like a shit show. What do you think about that? And how would you feel about DeFilippo? And what do you think about that whole situation right now in Minnesota?
Well, my first thoughts on the Minnesota situation is Vikings fans, I told you so. I've been critical of Kirk since I was at a Dolphins game. I think it was the 2015 season when he was named the starter, and he threw 2 picks in that game. And I've been critical of Kirk Cousins ever since. I mean, like I was saying, he's had moments like most Redskins players and coaches have, but Kirk is who we thought he was, and he got DeFilippo fired because he has $84 million guaranteed. So that's also a little bit of job security guaranteed. But make no mistake about it, Kirk Cousins does not win big games against good opponents, and that is going to be his downfall. Now, as far as bringing DeFilippo in for the Redskins, I'm not opposed to it. I don't know too much about him other than he was a big part of the Eagles' Super Bowl run last season. So, I mean, I think he definitely deserves a shot. I would take a look at Josh McDaniels. I honestly think, man, it's just going to come down to who wants to be bothered with Daniel Snyder and the Washington Redskins. I mean, like you said, man, you made a really good point. What coach has come to Washington and left in a better position? Marty Schottenheimer, Hall of Fame coach. We put a blemish on him. Mike Shanahan, like you mentioned, blemish his career. Steve Spurrier, coming out of college, supposed to be this hot thing.
Norv
he
Turner,
went right back
throw
to
him in there.
Yeah, Norv Turner. Look how long it's taken Norv Turner to get back to like superstardom, basically. Like, he's bounced around the league a little bit after being our head coach. He did have a good run in San Diego, though, but probably a better run than he had in Washington, which also says a lot about what's going on in Washington. I mean, yeah, we could just go on and on, man. Like, it's not a desirable job, and it starts with Dan Snyder. And the reason I don't like talking too much about the owner is because that's the one thing that as fans, as reporters, as whatever, people can complain about that as much as they want. He's the owner of the team. It's his team. Like, Dan Snyder, he's not going to fire himself. So we're stuck with that. So all we can really hope and pray for is that he wisens up and realizes that the best way to meet his bottom line is to win football games. And to do that, you got to get football guys in there. So I just hope he moves on from Bruce Allen, let Bruce go out there with John, get a new stadium in Vegas, bring in a GM who knows football, bring in a coach who knows football, let them work together and build up a better product than what we have or what we had last Sunday.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And we've had some samples to look at. You know, let's look at some well-run organizations over the last, let's say, 5 years and what they did recently. First, let's take the Packers. As a matter of fact, we'll take the Vikings too. We'll start with the Vikings. The Vikings fired DeFilippo after getting what they didn't think was adequate production out of their offense, and he's fired. We didn't get adequate production this past week, but everyone's still intact. Let's look at the Packers. Mike McCarthy won a freaking Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl. That doesn't matter in Green Bay. You're not performing to the standard. You get fired. You know what the problem is? There's no standard in Washington. What's our standard? What do you have to perform up to? It's constantly in flux. We're trying to find a standard. We need to fire this guy Gruden, and we need to bring in a guy that will come in here and set a standard. You know, set something to look up to. This is what we have to be, and this is how we'll get to it. Before we can get that coach, I definitely think our next coach needs to be way more hard-nosed. I need a disciplinarian. I need a Parcells type of attitude. You know what I mean? I need a no-nonsense type of guy. I don't want some jolly, chuckling, smiling every press conference guy. I need someone with the straight face, with the stone face, that's going to get in the player's face and tell them what time it is. Jay Gruden's not that guy. And the fact that Dan Snyder's taking them this long to realize it, and the fact that they had an embarrassing performance like the one they're coming off of and decide not to make any drastic changes, it just goes to show you the lack of urgency in the organization. We need some urgency. That's all it takes. That's all it takes sometimes.
My question for you is, so we lost the last 4 games. We're sitting at 6-7 after we were sitting at 6-3. How many more games does Gruden last? Because you're right. Snyder at some point has to pull the trigger, and as much as we're down in Snyder, he's no fool. 6-3. If we lose the rest of these games and go 6-10, I mean, he can't leave Gruden on the team. He's got to move on. For him to look not like an idiot. So I mean, I would say, depending on the performance that we see next Sunday against Jacksonville, Gruden might not make the trip back.
Yeah. I mean, you might be right about that. And in itself, that's a problem. The fact that you're allowing a coach to go game to game to prove himself, that's a problem from an organization. You got to be firm with your decision making, which Daniel Snyder has never been. Well, early he was, but they were all the wrong decisions. Since then, he's never been firm with his decisions. But it's tough. It's tough to say how many games will Gruden afford himself. I put it like this, man. The only way that Gruden can save himself at this point is to win out. That's one thing I know. If Gruden doesn't win out and somehow is still the head coach of the Washington Redskins after this season, I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might have to pen a personal letter to the ownership myself, because at that point it would be ridiculous. And I do. Don't get me wrong, man. I don't want it to make it a Gruden bashing, because, like I said, I do like Gruden, and I do think that I do like Gruden as a person, first of all. I do think Gruden is a bright offensive mind, but
Agreed.
I think sometimes you have a ceiling, and to me, Gruden's ceiling is a great offensive play caller, but he doesn't have the personality, 2, the confidence, and 3, he doesn't have the moxie to get guys to want to follow him. He doesn't have the moxie, the leadership qualities to lead warriors to the battlefield, and that's why we are where we are.
Agreed, man. Agreed. So you want to talk a little bit about this Jacksonville game before we get out of here, or this is? I think Josh Johnson's going to start. I think Josh Johnson's going to get the start, which is, after listening to us for the last 20 minutes, is obviously what needs to happen, which should have already happened. I think it's going to be a tough game, though, man. The offense is terrible, and Jacksonville, as bad as they've been, their defense is still one of the toughest in the league, man. What do you think we need to do in this specific game for Gruden to try to save his job?
Well, if Gruden was smart, he would put Chris Thompson and AP in the Wildcat and say, yo, y'all boys win me this game. But, nah, man, honestly, to be honest, what Gruden needs to do as a coach from an offensive game plan perspective is, man, win with your horses. Don't get cute. You know what I mean? Your horses right now are AP, Chris Thompson, and in my opinion, Josh Doctson. Let's find ways to get these guys the ball, and let's find ways to get them the ball in ways that makes them successful. Why isn't Josh Doctson getting a couple jump balls? Why aren't we throwing a couple 50-50 balls Josh's way? Why is when Chris Thompson getting the ball, it's always on the most predictable play? Why isn't Chris Thompson running the angle route from the backfield? Right? Why are they trying to get the same screen over and over again? Let's get him out of the backfield. Why isn't Chris Thompson being lined up in the slot as a receiver? Why isn't he going out wide as a receiver? He had a ton of success running those drag routes the past 2 seasons. Why is that not happening? You know what I mean? Why is Adrian Peterson under 12 carries? Why is he not getting 20, 25 plus? We saw the 90-yarder in Philadelphia. We know that Adrian Peterson might lose a yard, might gain 2 yards, might gain 3 yards. Then on that 4th carry, it's a 50-yard touchdown. Why are we not trusting that when we've seen it work this season? It makes no sense. But if Jay Gruden does want to keep his job, which I don't even know at this point if he even wants his job, the way he looks when he's up at that podium and the things he says over and over again like a broken record. But if he does want it, he'll get back to his horses. Because when we were winning, it was with our horses, namely AP. And we got to get back to that.
On the topic of Gruden's job, there is a rumor that is circulating. There's no confirmations of this that I've seen, but there's a rumor circulating that this past Friday, after practice, Gruden took a small vacation all the way up until Sunday before the game. So if there's any truth to that, like you just said, Gruden might already be done. This coaching search might already be started, and they might just be letting him finish out the season to avoid the interim head coach nonsense. But if there's any truth to that rumor that I've been hearing, then we will have a new head coach in 2019. But as far as this Jaguars game, I think it's just plain and simple football, man. Like, hand it to AP. Like, just give it to AP. Like, give it to AP a dumb amount of times. Give it to another running back a dumb amount of times. Like, don't put the game in the hands of Josh Johnson. Let him run it. They run a lot of read option with him. Chris Thompson, run some read option with him and Chris Thompson, man. Get creative with this offense. I think Dotson might be in concussion protocol, so if he can't go, they'll be looking real thin at receiver. Jordan Reed might also miss the rest of the season. So, I mean, it's going to be read option and quick little passes. It's going to look like RG3 in his first preseason games. But as far as winning this Jacksonville game, it's going to be running and defense, man. The defense has to come back. That has been the biggest problem and my biggest issue with the on-the-field play. Like I said earlier, I get it. You don't believe in Mark Sanchez. Like, the defense had, I think, held the Giants to 15 yards before Mark Sanchez threw that pick six. 15 yards on like 3 or 4 drives. That's pretty damn good football. The defense got to just stay consistent, not worry about how bad the offense is playing. I know it's tough when you're on the field constantly, but the defense has to be the catalyst for this team for the rest of the season, or we're going to be 6-10. So, to me, run the ball and defense, the basics of football, will win us this Jacksonville game.
Yeah, man. I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Run the football. Like, why have we ever gotten away from the run, bro? I don't get it. I just don't get it, man. I can't get off of it. But, I guess
if you go back and watch the first quarter of that Giants game, we're in that game until he throws that pick six. Why are we throwing the ball?
Yeah.
Why are we throwing the ball right there?
Oh, it made no sense. And don't get me wrong, we were on the 1 yard line.
It's ridiculous. Just run it. Run it and punt it, bro. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so that's how we feel about the Jacksonville game. Crazy thing about that game is this might be the most winnable game on the rest of our schedule, just based off Jacksonville style of play compared to ours. Now, Rome, man, before we get out of here, I got one more thing for you, man. I want to go with some season report cards, man. So I'm gonna throw some names at you, and you give me your report card for them for the season, and maybe a sentence or two, just telling me how you think they performed based off where you think they should be.
All right.
All right, so let's start with Preston Smith.
I'm going to give him a C. He started off slow. He's gotten hot here late, but he's just not consistent enough. And as far as re-signing him for another year, man, that makes it tough. And I know we don't want to talk too much about the Reuben Foster thing, but let's just do a hypothetical. Hypothetically, Reuben Foster is cleared of all charges, right? And he turns out to be a great guy, hypothetically. Bye, Preston Smith. We no longer need you. Like, I'll take my chances with Reuben. I'll let Mason walk too. So, Preston Smith, man, I'm going to give him a C. He needs to be a little bit better.
Yeah, I think I'll echo that sentiment. You definitely hit the nail on the head when you said that he's come on late. He has come on late. But C range is perfect for Preston Smith. All right, let's keep it moving. How about Josh Doxson, a guy you've been hard on in the past? How about Josh Doxson?
I'm going to have to give Josh a D+, man. And I kind of want to give him a C, but 2 plays this season stick out to me. He made 2 nice plays, and he got a taunting call after both of them. And it's like, you don't make enough plays to get a taunting call after any play that you make. So that holds him back to me. And just the whole first-round pick thing, I know he's probably never going to live up to that at this point, but the fact that you were a first-round pick and you're underachieving is a big no-go for me. So I'm going to have to give him a D+.
Yeah, for sure, man. I definitely think Josh has been a letdown. One thing I'll say about Josh, you can only do what your opportunities afford you. And I don't think he's got the requisite opportunities to be the player that we once thought he could be. All right, so next guy. This is an interesting one right here, man. Jonathan Allen.
Jonathan Allen, man. I'm going to give Jonathan Allen a B+, man. I want to get – well, actually, I'm going to drop that down to a B because I kind of want to give him a B+ to an A, but because the overall run defense has dropped off so much, I don't feel comfortable giving anyone on the defense an A or anyone on the team an A. But Jonathan Allen is probably one of the higher grades I would give. I'll give him a solid B. He's been consistent this whole season, and he's developing into a team leader. And he and Deron Payne are one of the reasons to have hope for this team, one of the few reasons at this moment.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, man. One thing I say about Allen is those first 6 games, he was approaching dominant. Since, it hasn't been so dominant. I've seen him getting blown off the ball. It just hasn't been the same John Allen that we saw in the first 6 games. But for him and Deron Payne, that could just be getting used to the 16-game grind of the NFL. It's a longer season. It's a longer game. You got to be ready for it. And in my opinion, they're just not there quite yet. But like you said, tons of hope with those 2 guys. And for our last one, DJ Swearinger.
Man, my guy Two Spoons, man. My guy Two Spoons. I'm going to give DJ a B+, man. And I know the defense has not been great the last couple of weeks, like we've been saying, but he's our best player. He's our best player not named Trent Williams. He's been the most consistent, I believe. He has had a few plays where he missed here and there this season, but he's definitely been the most consistent, and he's definitely a vocal leader, which I love. So I'm going to give Two Spoons a B+, man.
All right, yeah. I think I can live with that too, man. Two Spoons, he's balled out for us. The only thing that I would say is, and I think it shows just why he's been on so many teams in his short career, he puts his foot in his mouth sometimes. You know what I mean? And, don't get me wrong, Gruden has his problems. The Redskins organization has their problems. But as a player, as a soldier, as a part of the team, you never come out and badmouth anybody that's on your side. And for my liking, DJ's done that one too many times this season. But at the end of the day, maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's the kicking ass we need for everyone to really get on the same page and do the right thing. So maybe DJ's just pointing out what he sees, speaking his mind. You got to love that as a fan. But sometimes I think DJ, he goes on the other side of the line when he's speaking his mind. But, that's okay.
I would agree
that's
with
who he is
that.
as a player. Yeah, I mean, that's who he is as a player, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. As a fan, I appreciate it. But if I was in that organization, it might be cause for concern.
Yeah,
man,
sometimes it's better just to say nothing.
Exactly. Hey, hit the no comment. We'll know exactly what you mean with that. But,
yeah.
Yeah, so, man, hey, Rome, any final thoughts, man, before we get out of here today?
My final thought, man, is let's just hope that the Skins can win one more game, man. It would be great to get one more week of enjoyment of the Redskins winning. Hopefully it's this game so we could even pretend like we're going to make the playoffs still. That'd be even more fun. But, yeah, man, that's my final thought, man. I just want some type of positivity from these games.
Yeah, I think I'm right on board with that, man. And like I did say, this is despite all of our shortcomings right now, this is a winnable game. The Jaguars, they're down to their second quarterback. Their defense, which was once top notch, they've been faltering. And if there's any game where we can have a big game on the ground, it would be against the Jaguars coming off of, what Derrick Henry did to them. So let's hope that AP watches the Derrick Henry tape and runs with that same sort of power. And I believe he can. I believe that we can get this win. Redskins Nation, one thing we know about you guys is we don't go anywhere. The nation will always be strong. Redskins Nation will always be strong. No matter what Daniel Snyder Jay Gruden, Bruce Allen put us through. We'll be here, and we'll keep rooting. And with that said, hail to the culture, hail to the Redskins. Until next time, we out.
Free world. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline tape up.